So guys, we currently have 24 days left on the Memento Mori Gwen banner. This is the banner which you are going to need to spend your currencies on in order to get Gwen, who is a 5-star limited character here in Destiny Rising, Void Warlock with the Void Scythe, dual wield, sidearms and a shotgun. She's very, very cool, but after 24 days has passed and this banner ends, we're then going to get a brand new limited 5-star banner which is going to house Estella, who is an upcoming limited 5-star solar warlock character who summons a dragon and looks very, very cool. Now, the reason that we know Estella is the next character is because inside of the dev preview video we got before Destiny Rising's official launch, the devs actually gave us a short list of upcoming content for Destiny Rising, and it said that Estella was going to be the next 5-star character. And the reason that we know all of Estella's abilities is because they were playable inside of the closed alpha and beta, so we're just going to take those abilities that we know from there. Now, these could have been changed, at least in the damage numbers side of things, but I feel like the main abilities themselves will have, of course, stayed the same, similar to every other character within the game currently. So today we're going to go over everything about Gwen, all of her abilities, as well as everything about Estella, so that you can see these two characters, get a feel for how they're going to play, and make the decision on whether you want to use your currencies now and get Gwen whilst you still have time, or save them up and get Estella once she releases. With all that said though, let's first jump into Gwen's abilities here, which you can actually preview in-game even if you do not own Gwen. So for her primary and power weapon, you have dual-wield sidearms, which are a load of options here, and then you also have shotguns, which also once again have a load of different rarity options. So if you're a fan of either of those weapon types, Gwen is currently the only person in the game that can use both of these weapons, so she's very, very close range, and this pairs very well with her relic abilities. First, for her passive, called Energy Severance, when Gwen defeats a combatant by any means, one Void Spirit will be generated at the combatant's location. Now, a Void Spirit is a soul orb that stays where they're generated for 15 seconds. Approaching the Void Spirit picks them up, restoring 200 of Gwen's health and providing a 20% charge for Void Dance. Picked up Void Spirits will circle Gwen, and she can carry up to 6 at a time. For her first signature trait, we have Void Dance, where it immediately deals damage to nearby targets and restores health, deals additional damage when there are Void Spirits nearby. Then we have Soul Assault, where Gwen enters the void and gains damage resistance, then blinks towards the targeted location after a short delay, inflicting confined and dealing damage to nearby enemies. Confined states that it renders combatants immobile. For Gwen's super ability, we have Soul Harvest, where she summons Verdict, which is her Void Scythe, gains 6 Void Souls immediately and enters her super state. While her super is active, Void Souls generated by Energy Severance will return to Gwen. Then for the right side abilities, first her weapon mastery trait called Penetrating Shot. Casting signature abilities grants the Penetrating Shot effect for 4 seconds. Penetrating Shot states that weapon hits deal an additional instance of void damage equal to 15% of the weapon's base damage. For her first relic trait, you have Parting Gift. When using a sidearm, every 40% of rounds in the magazine that hit the target generate 1 Void Spirit. When using a shotgun, if 50% pellets hit the same target, they will generate 1 Void Spirit. Then you have Soul Dance, where casting Soul Assault draws in all Void Spirits within 10 meter radius and immediately triggers the pickup effect once. And then finally you have Light Extraction, where 50% of excess healing from Void Spirit and Void Dance will be converted into an overshield that lasts 4 seconds. So Gwen is a very strong character, at least in close range encounters. She isn't very good with dealing with long range encounters really, due to her weapon choices being very close range. I will say that Void Dance does help a little bit with her range, but all in all she is a very close range character. So if you're a fan of close range combat, Gwen is going to be really helpful, or if you just need a void based character to help you in certain content, Gwen is also going to be very good there. Another thing to note about these characters is obviously the type of weapons that they are using. If you notice, these are both impact weapons, which are very good against these impact Shinker enemies, which will be introduced to a little bit later in the game. Basically, you'll need to use these certain weapon types in order to actually deal with these enemies. They're basically like the champion versions of enemies that we normally find in Destiny 2, but they're a little bit unique because they're not tied to a specific weapon per season, but just a specific weapon type generally. Next up then, let's talk Estella. Now sadly we don't have any gameplay here to show, so I'm just just going to throw some general gameplay here in the background whilst we go over her abilities. First, for her passive, it's called Contamination. Attacking targets with weapons accumulates corruption. This effect can trigger up to 10 times per second, and casting Bewitched Illusions consumes corruption to create illusions, which have 3 levels corresponding to different corruption costs. Her super is called Violent Reverie, where she summons a powerful Violent Reverie to continuously attack combatants by firing a contamination beam. This is basically a massive dragon turret, basically, that will stay in one spot but is able to fire this solar damaging beam over a wide area, so it's a very, very cool looking ability. For her signature, she has Bewitched Illusions. Estella summons a Bewitched Illusion to join the battlefield and fight combatants on its own. The more corruption she has accumulated, the higher the level of the summoned Bewitched Illusion will be. The higher level Bewitched Illusions deal greater damage. She then also has Misfortune's Guide, where it inflicts misfortune on a target, making them prioritized by and take additional damage from all illusions. Then for her weapon mastery, she has Distorted Desires. Every 10 weapon attacks that hit targets inflicted with misfortune will trigger an accident, dealing 2,755 solar damage and generating an additional 5 corruption if a target is defeated. While inflicted with misfortune, Estella will gain additional corruption equal to 7 times the number of accidents they suffered. Then for her traits, she has Calamitous Pandemic. Combatants affected by misfortune spread misfortune to nearest combatants within a 10-meter radius when they are defeated, dealing 2,900 solar damage. However, the duration of misfortune is reduced by 2 seconds after each spread until it reaches the minimum of 4 seconds. A single instance of misfortune can spread up to 5 times. Then she has Dream Aid. While Violent Reverie is present, all combatants and misfortune counters will be paused and corruption will be accumulated with 60% more efficiency. And then she has Wounded Consolidation. Combatants affected by misfortune will be inflicted with a Disable Heal. So she is a very, very good character, and to go over her weapons, she's able to use pulse rifles and machine guns. So if you're currently leveling up Kabir in the game right now, his weapons will be immediately transferable to Estella if you want to do that as well. Now, due to her abilities and weapons, she is able to have a lot more range than Gwen. So if you want a character who's able to deal with enemies at a further distance, Estella is definitely going to be very, very good. Now, unlike the other 2 solar characters in this game, like Wolf and Tantu, she doesn't have any real source of healing. She's all just focused around damage. So if you are not worried about needing to keep yourself up and just want to be annihilating everything, then Estella is definitely going to be a character worth getting. And due to her having a pulse rifle and a machine gun, she's going to be very good against the rapid fire Shinka enemies, similar to how Gwen was good against these impact ones. And that is pretty much all I have to say about these 2 characters. Me personally, I'm going to be saving for Estella just because I really want to be summoning that dragon and she looks really, really cool. So I'm not going to be pulling for Gwen, but that's totally your choice. If you need a void character, I would definitely go for Gwen because she is very, very potent, and if you're a fan of melee combat, 100% go and try and get her. But if you really prefer ranged combat or just liking the ability to have a more ranged based character, Estella is going to be a much better choice there. And if you are building Kabir, once again, his weapons will fit right into Estella as well, so it's a win-win there, as you don't need to farm out a whole new set of weapons. And with that said, that was all I have for you guys today. Hopefully this video helped you out with deciding on what character you want to spend your pulls on. If it did, if you could leave a like and subscribe to the channel, I would very much appreciate it. With that said, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.